1980年吉村のライダー2人がこの鈴鹿のコースを走って優勝を飾っております。そのレジェンドライダーに1980年当時を思い出してもらって鈴鹿のコースを紹介してもらいましょう。グレーム・クロスビーさん、そしてウェス・クーリーさんです。
Well, you're talking to two of the oldest members of the Yoshimura racing team. I think we go back something like 40 years. And I'm looking here at the circuit and just wondering about the differences between when we raced here in 1980, and you in 1978 when you won it. And we were just talking before about the differences. And looking at the circuit, it's gone a long way with the corners that have been changed, Degner in particular, and also the introduction of two other chicanes to slow the faster bikes down. And I think we were doing about a 1:19 or 2 minutes 19 back in 19 what is it 80. Now they're doing, what do they do? 2 minutes 6.
Yeah.
Well, it's not too much. It's not too much. Yeah, it's not too much. So with the advent of a couple of chicanes, it does mean that they are going pretty damn quick. So Wes and I, probably running the same bike, used the same sort of gearing, and down the front straight on the old GS1000, which was an endurance version of the sprint model XR69, we were probably aiming for around pretty close to 10,000 RPM and top RPM that we're looking for. And we would go back to third gear. Did you go third? Yeah. So we go through the first corner in third, and then back shift to second, which then gives us the ability to take all of the S's right the way through until champion corner in second gear. The difficulty is that there's a slight over rev coming out of turn 2, so you have to be a bit careful. But what it does allow you to turn into that left-hander because the RPM's up, and when you roll the throttle off, you get good turn in. I don't know about you, but
It's same
thing.
Yep, same thing.
Going around Champion Curve, it's the Dunlop Curve, I should say, underneath the bridge in those days. It was blind. It still is blind, but we were going a lot slower, but always at the maximum of the tyre adhesion that we had back in those days. And nowadays the tyres,
Times have changed so much.
tyres were not even radials. They were old. Yeah. It's kind of like an O-ring on the front and an O-ring on the back.
With grooves in it.
Yeah, exactly. And then Degner Corner was changed because I think of an accident at some stage. So they've straightened that out, which makes it probably a little bit more difficult than what I think the old course was. We liked the old course. It was a banked turn in. It was much nicer. And then underneath the bridge, you're just accelerating, and I think you hold actually third gear, and then you're back to first around the hairpin, and then from the hairpin all the way through to spoon, that's kind of almost a trailing throttle because the amount of speed you've got and the RPM that you're carrying means that you can't just keep changing up because you tend to run wide, so you've got to have a little bit of RPM on to be able to give you a little bit of relaxation and roll the throttle off and keep the turn in going. Going into spoon, it's kind of a floaty one, that, isn't it? You go in the first part and you think, oh shit, am I going to get around the next part? Adverse camber going around the outside of the exit to spoon, and you just really have to allow the bike to move out right towards the end of the circuit. Then you've got the run right up to the 130R, and that's probably the most exciting corner. Did you ever?
That was my favorite one.
Did you never crash on that one?
Never crashed on that one.
Okay.
No, I left, but that was the fast part. That was the fun turn for me.
Well, after that, of course, nowadays everybody has to brake hard for the hairpin that they've put in. Not the hairpin, the chicane on the last curve. But in 1980, we didn't do that. We were just changing up through fourth gear in the 130R into top gear, and then back one into fourth, and then we'd do the run down onto the start-finish straight again. So from that aspect, the circuit has changed dramatically, and I think it's probably, if anything, it's a bit more technical as far as a course goes. And I would say, and I think you'd probably agree, that Suzuka itself, the circuit itself, is probably the most technical in the world, and that's what makes it appealing to riders like Wes and I.
Yeah.